Shalom, 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 Yasha'Allah. It's your boy, Brother Shamwa Allah, back at you with another quick edifying video. Today's lesson is just going to be a update, right? An update on this digital currency, all right? Update on digital currency, all right? First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Halal, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father, whose name is Yahawah, and His only begotten Son's name, who you ignorantly call Jesus, whose name is Yahawashi. All right, and the Holy Spirit, which is the Rawchaa Qadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who have ruled well to the Spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days, and has pushed this gospel and this truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. And mighty shalom. Another mighty shalom to all you Akim out there laboring on the highways and on the hedges and on the unicorn, which is this internet, pushing this 100% doctrine, this 100% truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom to you all as well. All right, this is just a update of the progress going towards digital. All right, and this is from WCC F Tech. Okay, it says this is about 4 hours ago. It says President Trump officially signs the Genius Stablecoin Act into law. BlackRock is now buying 5 times more Ethereum as Bitcoin. So this is just like an update. You know, I did a couple of lessons, and as you see, this stuff is moving along quickly. So it says in a seminal development, President Trump has now officially signed the Genius Stablecoin Act, more formally known as the Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoin Act into law, or Genius. It says this marks the first time the U.S. has enacted a significant crypto-focused law. Okay. You see, it says it's passed. The Genius Act passed 308 to 122. All right. It says the House is now voting. All right. It says the legislation stumbled earlier this week when some House members raised concerns regarding the supposed lunacy of within the Genius Stablecoin Act, including its failure to safeguard self-custody or crypto assets, as well as the lack of formal preclusion of a central bank digital currency, or CBDC. It says President Trump then invented some of the President Trump then invited some of the dissenting members to the White House, ultimately managing to win over 11 out of the 12 additional Congress members required to ensure the passage of the act. It says, for the benefit of those who might not be aware, the Genius Stablecoin Act creates a comprehensive framework for regulating stablecoins. Among other things, it mandates that stablecoins pegged to the U.S. dollar have to be backed by eligible reserves consisting of U.S. treasuries on a 1-to-1 basis. The legislation also requires regular reserve audits and monthly disclosures. Under the proposed framework, banks and other eligible entities can issue stablecoin without erroneous requirements entailed under security laws. However, all issuers will have to comply with anti-money laundering laws and regulations, including rules pertaining to so-called you know your customer framework. It says the Genius Stablecoin Act is expected to provide a major boost to USD peg stablecoins, with sectors TAM expected to grow from around 240 billion right now to 750 billion by the end of 2026. It says, of course, the White House has also passed two other bills in what was widely dubbed the Crypto Week. It says the Anti-CBDC Act and the Clarity Act, which formally divides regulatory jurisdiction over crypto sector between the SEC and the CFTC and create framework for consumer protection. Both of these bills are now headed to the Senate. All right. And it says BlackRock's purchase of over $500 million in ETH exceeds its Bitcoin inflow by 50 million US dollars. So it says, meanwhile, in what constitutes a significant development, the asset management titan BlackRock is now manifestly favoring Ethereum over Bitcoin. This suggests a new altcoin mania might be at hand. It says, under the Genius stablecoin law, stablecoin issuers must procure either a federal or state license to operate. The federal license have to be procured from the U.S. Treasury Department's Office of Comptroller of Currency, or the OCC. Of course, small stablecoin issuers with market cap of under 10 billion can opt for either a state or federal license. However, this choice is not available to larger issuers who are mandated to seek federal license under the Genius stablecoin law. It says the chosen regulator has to decide on a given application within 120 days. As part of the licensing framework, applicants must demonstrate significant capitalization in their possession of liquid, high-quality reserve on a one-to-one basis, representing 100% backing of all issued stablecoins, robust international control mechanisms, and compliance with anti-money laundering and Bank Secrecy Act rules and regulations. Bear in mind that existing stablecoin issuers such as Circle have a grace period to ensure compliance with the law. It says Genius stablecoin law becomes effective at the earliest of either 18 months or its passage or 120 days after final regulations are issued. It says the biggest loser under the law is the Tether, which is foreign issuer and can't legally distribute its USDT stablecoin, the US now. It says, as such, non-compliant stablecoin have to phase out within 3 years. Tether can, however, create a new US-based subsidiary or partner with approved stablecoin issuer to maintain its footprint in the US. It says, of course, Tether's biggest backer is investment banker Cantor Fitzgerald, whose former chairman, Howard Lutnick, is a current U.S. Treasury Secretary. So there is hope yet for Tether. It says big tech also loses under the Genius stablecoin law as these companies will now have to win a unanimous approval from the Stablecoin Certification Review Committee comprised of Treasury Secretary, the Fed Chair, Vice Chair of Supervision, and the FDIC Chair to issue their bespoke stablecoin. All right. So, listen, it's just another. He passed the Genius Act. Okay. So that's just more traction, towards this, towards the digital. Okay. As we continue to watch. All right. This thing is getting momentum. It's getting speed. And it's getting ready to, they're getting ready to push. All right. This regular, the digital currency, man, it's in action. All right. As we speak. So everything is coming into place. They're dotting their I's and crossing their T's. All right. This stuff is getting ready to roll out, The thing about it, you talk to people, a lot of people know it. A lot of people know what's, about it, but they're not thinking about it, right? It's not, in the forefronts of their eyes, but, as watchmen, we continue to watch, okay? And we understand, through the spirit and power of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. All right. Let's get this. Just want to get a couple of scriptures, and I'm gonna close it out. Like I said, wasn't really going to go over some scriptures, but let's get this real quick. Right, understanding, what the prophecies, okay, and how things are playing out, okay. So we see, all right, we understand that this place has to go cashless, right, and with that cash towards the MOTB, all right. So this is Revelation chapter 19 and verse number 10. It says, "And I fell at his feet to worship me, and he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahawashi. Worship the Most High, for the testimony of Yahawashi is the spirit of prophecy." Okay, so understanding, the spirit of Yahawashi is the spirit of prophecy, right? To understand this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, okay, you have to, what is it? Yahawashi said, if ye abide in me, all right. He also said, if you keep my word, you are my disciple indeed, okay. He comes in the volume of the book, okay. So we must understand, all this, all right, and how this stuff is going on, all right, and understanding through these scriptures, through the prophecies as they unfold, right, where you have many people who can't go in and understand these prophecies, right, like Yahawashi told the disciples. It's given unto you to know the mysteries of the Most High, but to them it's not given. All right. So as we see these things unfolding, right, we line them up with the prophecies, to see how these things work out. All right. Second Esdras chapter 15, verse 1, it says, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true." All right. So they're going to come to pass. All right. Point blank. It says, "Fear not the imagination against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee." Okay. And we understand that, because ultimately the main push is to what? To push the, push that new world order. All right. And with that micro C hip, all right, Revelation 13:16, they want to control the whereabouts of everybody at the end of the day, okay, but understanding the prophecy, right? What does it say? Comfort one another with these scriptures, right? Because so we know what's happening. Well, everybody else is wondering what the hell's going on. They don't know. We understand the thing because we see the stuff, we read about it, went over it, and we see it unfolding and taking place. All right. So and understand that helps build our faith. All right, because these things happening, Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi said they're going to happen, right? So then we understand that everything else that Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi has spoken is going to happen too. We have that faith and we believe at the end of the day. All right. So, and we understand that all these things must come to pass. All right. That's why it says, cause them to be written in a paper, for they are faithful and true. Right. They're going to happen. All right. And in that paper, written in that paper, is talking about these scriptures, man. All right. Coming in the volume of the book, it is written of Yahawashi. And Yahawashi is the author and the finisher of our faith. All right. So he's told us these things are going to happen through this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And we believe it wholeheartedly. All right. And we watch as all this stuff unfolds and plays itself out. All right. So I just wanted to do this quick lesson. Lord's will, this was edifying. All right. With that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say call Halal Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash, peace and blessings to the elect, the 12 tribes scattered abroad, mighty Shalom to the 144,000 men, double honors to the apostles and elders of great millstone who have ruled well to the spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days. Right, a mighty Shalom to the 144,000 men, double honors to the rest of Salakia. A mighty Shalom to the rest of the elect out there, man. Stay diligent, stay focused, keep watching. All right, keep watching for these prophecies. All right, as they continue to unfold. Right, because they are faithful and true. All right, and we are living in this time where the scriptures are just playing out right in front of our eyes. All right. So with that, we say a ball will ball and shalom.